What are examples of gene editing? We asked Ian Affleck, Vice President of Plant Biotechnology at CropLife Canada.
So a couple of fun examples. One is coffee. We've had some really serious disease problems in coffee over the last number of years. 2012 specifically was a real highlight year where 55% of coffee grown in Central and South America were lost to coffee rust. Just everything in that time just circled perfectly to make the right conditions for coffee rust to kind of wipe out a lot of coffee plants. A lot of people lost their jobs because of that. But plant breeders using gene editing in public institutions in South America are looking how to use gene editing to solve that. And they're making some really great progress in making coffee more resistant to that rust disease. So a great example of how it can be beneficial in that quest for disease resistance. I think this is a good example where often we think of GMOs, we think of gene editing as kind of delivering really interesting single traits like high fiber wheat or 100% rust resistant coffee plants. But where gene editing is really going to come in is that increasing the rust resistance by 10% with every new variety you put out. So it's not just these big blockbuster interesting traits. It's about helping plant breeders slowly overcome the problems that they're constantly having in agriculture. And I think that's one of the really interesting and often overshadowed parts. It's not all big headline news traits. It's that lifelong dedication of a plant breeder to bettering plants, and they're able to incrementally better them using this technology in their breeding programs. So another story is bananas, and you may have heard of this, that the banana that we buy in the grocery stores, the Cavendish banana, is one variety. And it's all clonally propagated, or it's from cutting. So this is like potatoes. You don't grow potato seed off of the top of the plant and replant it. You cut a potato in half and you put it back in the ground. So it's the exact same potato every year. So that creates a susceptibility to potential diseases. So because you can't crossbreed with another banana without losing a lot of the benefits of the Cavendish banana, gene editing would allow you to go in and solve some of these disease issues, a lot like the papaya issues we had in Hawaii, in order to manage a number of these diseases. So some might say, well, why not go back to the wild banana, which has more disease resistance? And you could, but you would go back to a plant that yields a lot less. You'd need more banana groves to grow the same amount of banana. And the idea of not disturbing natural ecosystems wherever possible is a real positive outcome. So rather than moving to a lower yielding banana that's got more disease resistance, if we can keep the same high yielding efficient one and fix the disease resistance issue, that's a much more preferable outcome, both agriculturally and environmentally. Wheat is another great example. So we brought wheat to Canada in the 1800s. It doesn't originate here, although we think of Canada as stereotypically about wheat. Wheat originated in the Middle East, and immediately we started breeding it to fit in our Canadian growing environment. But there's a lot of really cool gene editing possibilities coming for wheat. High fibers, you can get more fiber in every loaf of bread. Low gluten to give more opportunities for those with celiac or gluten intolerances or market preferences toward low gluten. And also, again, back to that disease resistant piece. We're fighting a number of diseases in wheat like stem rust and mildew and things of those nature. And gene editing can really help address some of the challenges that plant breeders are facing in wheat. On the soybean side, there's a new gene edited variety of soybeans that resulted in a high oleic oil for cooking. This is on the market in the States right now. Less saturated fatty acids, less trans fats, higher healthy oleic acid. It's already available. It's one of the first commercialized examples of a product that's on the marketplace in the US. There's also another coming from Japan. There's a heart healthy tomato that they just started producing in Japan. So another really exciting example of what the technology can do there.